good evening actually good afternoon from Bali, the island of gods, beautiful island. At this occasion, I would like to continue what Busari said about our collaboration. So this is the slide just to show you who we are, what are the company involved, and some of the topics that we'll be discussing quickly before we go into a micro, how we involve community on the carbon credit side.
Yeah.
So the companies involved is a Mind2Power Corp. Mind2Power Corp is a Canadian startup company based in Toronto, Canada. And the other company is a Guardian Conservation. It's a Canadian Calgary-based company who is our partner in the development of the methodology for the voluntary carbon credits. And ILEKTRA, lastly, PT ILEKTRA Gesits Indonesia, is a joint venture between Mind2Power Corp, a Canadian company, with PT Gesits Bali Pratama, where we will develop the whole ecosystem, battery swap, and all the platform-based ecosystem where we will build the community. So our slogan is swap for a better future. So that's how we get involved. Now, I'm trying to give you a macro to micro input. I know probably previous presenters has mentioned about what is climate change and what is carbon credit, because we have to bring the macro to the micro so we understand what we're involved with. Next, please. So back down to the basic questions: what is climate change, right? So climate change is basically a long-term shift of temperature and weather patterns. Now we have to stress the pattern side. So it's not whether you still have snow or whether it's one place hot, but it's the whole long-term change of the patterns. And this pattern can be due to natural, obviously in the geological times in the past, we could have a geological shift. However, it is believed by many, and we don't want to discuss the pros and cons, but many scientists already believe that since 1800, human activities actually contribute to the change, the long-term change, the temperature and weather patterns. Why? Because we use fossil fuels for the last 200 years. What has been accumulated for millions years in the earth, we basically mine them out. I mean, petroleum, and then we burn them, and then we accumulate them in the atmosphere. That's why that creates a so-called climate change. And obviously, also with the increase of population, we will have the number of people, like development of cities. We cut down trees, for more farming, and so all those factors are human factors that contribute to climate change. So that's why we have to mitigate. Now, then the global community then realized that we are at the stage where we have to do something. What happened was the global community came to understand that we have to do something. So in Paris, in COP21, the party to the UNCCP agreed that we have to accelerate efforts to reduce the carbon in the atmosphere. Basically, we have to intensify the action investment needed for a sustainable low carbon future. We cannot go on like this because otherwise the cost of climate change is much greater than the benefits. So what is carbon credit? A simple question. Basically, it's a registered token symbolizing 1 ton of CO2 equivalent. Now, we use CO2, but actually there's another gas. You probably know about methane, which is probably like 7 or 10 times more, have a gas effect. But then we convert that into a CO2 equivalent. That's why we always use CO2 equivalent tonnage. So basically, it's a registered token symbolizing 1 ton of CO2 equivalent of greenhouse gas avoided or removed from the atmosphere. So it's like a token. It's like if you like a Bitcoin, if you like, or equivalent to 1 ton of CO2. How do we basically now? We focus on the voluntary carbon credit. So how do we develop a quality voluntary carbon credit? This is what we're doing with our joint venture and with our partner Guardian Energy. So we have few steps to be able to develop quality carbon credits. first we conceptualize, we identify what is the project, that we can have a reduction in emission. And then we develop and submit a methodology. Now, for voluntary carbon credit, we call it methodologies, certain methodologies that we can develop so that people who buy the carbon credit have the understanding that the carbon credits are reliable and quality is not double counted, etc. So that's why we developed submit a methodology, and after that, once we approve, we then review the origin concept, and then we validate the methodology. And once verified, we quantify, monitor, and register the credits produced by the methodology. Now, this is just to give you a concept before I talk to the more specific. Then people ask, why would people buy voluntary carbons, right, instead of a compliance? We're not in the compliance. Because the global communities in the ESG, there are companies globally that realize that they have to participate in the reduction of the carbon. So to reduce their carbon footprint as part of the ESG. Therefore, they go out and buy quality carbons. Like that. That's the reason why. And the ESG investment in Asia Pacific it's really taking up recently. Now, just to mention about our off-takers, that our partners, the Guardian and us off-takers, we have done some off-takers before through Guardian, and some of our off-takers include Shell, WestJet, Nike, SpaceX, and Pembina. WestJet is a airlines in Canada, and Shell, and you all know SpaceX. So we have done voluntary credits with these off-takers. Next. Okay, now so I'll keep it aside. Now we come to the how is it related to what we're trying to do with Gesits, right? Now we decided to work with Gesits because it's a motorcycle that's good and it's tested. It's got local content. It's Indonesian made, and this is to show that a collaboration between two countries. By the way, this is actually the actualization of the B20. Where we have a collaboration between the companies from Canada and company from Indonesia to participate in decarbonization, acceleration of the electrification of the Indonesian transportation sector. So this is a real example. So not theoretical, so part of the B20, we have done it as a companies within the two countries, developed countries and developing countries, Canada and Indonesia. We participate together. So what we do is we develop these battery swaps, and then we'll develop a methodology because as Busari said, our system, our apps will be able to track the battery. So we'll be able to identify track each motorcycle or how much kilometer they travel. And then we'll convert that through our methodology to a certain tonnage. And then from there, we monetize that. Now, how do we involve the community? It is community because what we're trying to build is the community of motorcycle riders. We are hoping to convert there are 120 million motorcycles, ICE motorcycle in Indonesia. We are hoping that we would be able to convince these people that to convert electric motorcycle. Now, this is what I call community participation because each rider or motorcycle is a community member, right? And they can contribute to reduce their carbon footprint. How? By changing to electric motorcycle, and better still if they use Gesits.
Yes.
So that way, each individual will say, hey, we do contribute to the reduction of carbon because we're using electric motorcycle. Now, so we try to build the electric motorcycle community, and we will give back. How do we give back? Once we monetize the carbon credit, we will give some of the monetization back to each rider. So that's basically to thank them and as an appreciation of their own contribution, each of individual contribution to reduce their carbon footprint. Because reducing carbon footprint is not only the job of government, it's not the job of a big company, it's a job of every individual on this planet. Everybody has to contribute in one way or another. Now, the way we do it through electric motorcycle. Obviously, there are other people who are doing different electric for example, the Jamban people, they use a different route. But basically, that's involved every single individual on this planet. We all have to contribute. Therefore, we hope that we will convince the motorcycle riders in Indonesia to help government of Indonesia, who is already willing to push electrification of the transportation sector, decarbonize with incentive. So our job is to ride on the government push and to move to tell the people, apart from your social responsibility, I call it individual responsibility to reduce carbon, you will also have the benefits. You will get something back from your efforts. Thank you.